Hi, I'm your host, Erica Polsinelli, and welcome to Evolve by Erica, the podcast, where we talk all things spirituality, ascension, health, wellness, and beyond. I'm so excited that you are here. Come on in. Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode. I'm excited to be here solo today, coming off of an exciting duo episodes that I've been filming. But today it's just me, and I wanted to share some things that have 100% been on my mind lately. Just those internal thoughts that go on behind the scenes that I guess I don't share on social media, but I love this space because it feels so cozy, so warm, and so welcoming to share and really go deep here. And that's honestly why I started the podcast to begin with, to be able to come here and share some of the things that maybe I didn't think would translate on social media, that I knew would translate here. And sometimes I feel like that just being having my moon in Aquarius, but also just practicing the practices that we do and being into energy. Sometimes I do feel like we can be a little bit ahead of the quote unquote crowd and the rest of what's going on in social media. And I don't know if that's just a story I tell myself or the truth. I do think since 2020, a really big awakening has occurred and has happened. But being here, I know that you're here for a reason. I know that you want these deep conversations because that's how we started together and that's where we're going to stay. And I know it's such a cozy place to share it. So, before getting into some of the conversations that I want to have today, I wanted to share that in my episode with Krista that I filmed not so long ago, I started to think, and I actually said this to her off camera. I wish I caught it on camera, but after I was sharing with her that since the pandemic, I feel like we've found soul family through Instagram and through social media. And we see these people that we deeply recognize, and I don't mean by how they look or what they're saying, but how they feel to us. And I guess it is what they're saying. But we start to recognize these people that are in a similar frequency and realm that we live and exist on. And we feel very seen by them. We feel very heard. We feel very understood. And Krista is actually one of those people to me, as well as Jordan Younger. You guys might listen to The Balance Bond. I feel like I share Jordan a lot. She inspired me to start this podcast. But you start to see these people who you feel these really deep connections to, Danielle Page being another one, astrologer. And you just feel like, okay, I'm not so crazy, and there are other people who are feeling the things I'm feeling or similar things that I'm feeling, experiencing similar things that I'm feeling, and we grow like this soul family. And I think that's my hands feel so activated right now as I talk about this. I feel like that's such a beautiful thing that we have discovered through social media. And as much as there's a million bad things about social media, that's really something that was brought to us as such a gift, this connectedness. And of course, there's shadow sides to the connectedness where we're looking at and we're watching all the things that are going on in everyone else's life, which could lead some people to compare or feel inadequate, always a shadow side. But the lightness side is how connected and how seen we can feel, how we could connect with people that geographically we're so far away from, but have the opportunity to connect on such a deep soul level. And I just think that's so beautiful. And I think just by you being here, we're part of that soul connection and soul family too. And hopefully you come here because you feel that connectedness, you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel understood in a world where maybe you haven't, in a world that maybe you never really felt completely accepted by or honored by and felt like you had different needs than the norm. So I'm just so grateful for the people that I've connected with through social media. And I'm so grateful that you're one of them too, and that you're here and that you're tuning into the podcast and that we're able to have these really deep, powerful, and meaningful conversations. Something I touched upon in the last episode, the last solo episode on the spring equinox and the abundance episode that I want to uncover a bit more is having the awareness to truly act in order to manifest. So, what do I mean by that? In order to be wherever it is we want to be or become that highest version of ourselves, we often have the vision of her or him, and we have this idea of what that looks like. It's typically tangible success that we're using to measure for our own success. And what I've started to recognize in myself is I can want one thing, and then when I actually force myself to become so aware of my actions and my behaviors, there can sometimes be a mismatch. So, example, this is an example time. Today, you can see I'm here in the podcast studio, which I love. I feel so great every time I come here, and I feel so connected to my truth. I feel so grateful for the people who are helping make this podcast be what it is, and how beautiful it is, and how well edited it is, and all the things. However, I will meet so much resistance before coming here, thinking about traveling into the city, thinking about having to leave Bam Bam. I'm serious. If you're a dog owner, like, hopefully you hear me and understand me, because I might have a problem. I just like don't want to leave him really. And I wish he could come and be here with me, but whatever. So it's like leaving my house, going out of my house, going into the world, driving through a few towns and boroughs to get to the city. And I can just meet so much resistance. And on the flip side of that, I can stay home. I can set up my whole situation by myself. I do have a great in-home setup, not as great as this setup, but I do have a great solution to that. But it's just not the caliber and the quality of what I want it to be, because it's not a professional studio like I'm at right now. So I started to analyze these things about myself and say, okay, Erica, you want a really well edited, polished, beautiful podcast, but yet you're finding so much resistance of getting yourself ready, getting out the door, and going into the city. And things, I think in the time of COVID and having everything digital and never having to leave, we've created this sense of maximum efficiency. So like, I don't have to leave for my meditations because I do my meditations from my room. I don't have to leave for my workouts, so I save all that time on my commute. I don't have to leave and do my work because I'm on Zoom. And we just created we kind of expanded time in a sense. And so to think about spending the time driving here and possibly being in traffic, I could meet so much resistance. But at the end of the day, this is what I want. I want to come to a place. I want to work with other people. I want to grow a team. And these are all things that are going to be required of me for my next level. So I'm sharing all this about me and my experience because how does that connect to your life and what you're experiencing now? And I try to catch myself in what I say on Instagram and what I'm saying to you right now, because I have this habit of holding myself uber accountable. So let me give you an example of that. I was talking to someone in my life that's going through a hard time right now. It's very hard for me to watch someone I love go through a hard time because I'm very solution-based. In these recent years, I've learned how to be more of a listener and not always having to solve a problem, but I always want to solve a problem, and I always want to show someone else that they're capable of that, they're worthy of overcoming that, and that they can do it. That's just like part of my mission here. But I've had to lean into more of the feminine in that area as well. But I was talking to this person who's having a difficult time, and he was complaining. He's in sales, and he was complaining about how it hasn't been going well and he's had such bad luck. And my knee-jerk reaction is to be like, okay, wait, what habits, what behaviors have you indulged in that could possibly have taken you out of alignment if you feel that way? So this is where I'm saying I'm careful with what I say, because are we 100% the sole creator of our reality? No, there is a creator and an energy that's greater than us. But I like to do these check ins. So I'm sharing it here because maybe it can help you or maybe it doesn't serve you. But my knee-jerk reaction was to say, what patterns, behaviors, habits have you been leaning into? And I will be honest, I know one that this particular person has been leaning into that I know is not for their highest good, trying to have them come to that conclusion on their own. But what is it that we've been leaning into that maybe is holding us back from really being the most expanded version of ourselves? What are the things we haven't been doing that are there to help us? And we know time and time again, they help us, that we've been ignoring and not having the energy to do. And I'm guilty of this too. And I call myself out on this all the time. My morning routine before sunrise, getting my ass up out of bed and getting to it. I know how I feel my best and when I feel my best. I also know when it's time to rest and sleep in. There's a balance. But for the most part, I know the things I need to do in order to feel very aligned. So that is something as we transition and as we're transitioning into spring and entering the season of abundance, I've been really raw and honest with myself on calling myself out on those things, because I could feel very, very comfortable staying at home. And I said it to Vinny last night. I was just like, why am I so comfortable being by myself? Why am I so comfortable never leaving my house? Like, it's not okay. And then I have to get behind myself and remind myself, when you leave and you connect with other people and you're doing what you love with aligned experiences, places, people, and things, you feel great. So go for it. But we all need that push. So that's something I've been experiencing lately. And I think there's another layer to this as well, that I have been debating and exploring, is also parts of our life, things that we've always done or have done for a very long time. For me, it's been being plant-based. I've been plant-based for the last 7 years. It is absolutely what sparked my spiritual awakening. I'm so grateful for this journey. And lately, I've just been questioning myself. Is there something more that you may need? Are you staying open to doing what is best for your body, or a label? And I continue to question myself on that so that I can have the awareness to 100% live in my truth, not attached to anything else. And I think, because I often think, like, what if I think that this is the way of being my healthiest self, but I try something else and all of a sudden it could be a new workout, it could be a new diet, it could be a new whatever it is. You try it and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I didn't realize how good I could feel. So I actually haven't delved into anything other than plant-based pretty much, but it's just something I think is essential in order to practice what I preach, because practicing what I preach is staying aligned to your truth, not staying aligned to what your truth was 10 years ago or what you said your truth was 5 years ago. That's not serving anyone. So constantly evolving and constantly growing is actually constantly calling yourself out and checking yourself and seeing where you're staying comfortable and thinking about, in order to get to where you want to go, what action steps really need to be taken. So those are just some things that I've been experiencing and that I wanted to be completely honest and share with you. And I think it's important that when we feel a little stuck, when we feel a little unmotivated, or just that we're in the same place and we want to be in place X, Y, or Z, it's taking a moment to look back, looking at what you want, your intention, where you want to be, and then really writing down actionable steps to get there. So in order to get to where you want to be, what is your day then going to look like? And I'm making some changes with how I run Evolve as well. So I've been doing a lot of one-on-one sessions and I absolutely love them. First and foremost, I love working one-on-one with individuals because I get to hear, and my number one priority is helping people. Like today, I just gave Vinny this grand idea of what I want to do. And he was like, and it was a very generous idea. It was a giveaway. And he's like, great. What are you going to get out of the giveaway? Like people usually do a giveaway to like gain more followers or gain whatever. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. Like, I just wanted to give. Like I wanted to do this. And he was like, oh, okay. And then I ran it by someone else and that was their initial reaction too, which is great and fine. It's wonderful to grow. It's wonderful to gain followers because that means your mission is growing, you're reaching more people. But like I genuinely love to give. So in my soul sessions, I've realized how much I give. I absolutely love it. But I've also realized that if I continue to do them at the pace and the rate I'm doing them, I don't know how much more I will be able to give. And there's other structures that I could follow to actually give to many more. And this transition has been hard for me because I've been, I guess I have been a people pleaser. It's hard for me to say like, I'm a people pleaser because I feel like everyone's saying that phrase right now. And I like don't really like following the crowd. My Aquarius moon is like, meh. But I definitely have. And I think more recently, as I become more aware of myself, I've noticed more and more how I just try to make it work. Like, of course I can make this work for you. Of course I can make this work for you. Of course I can make this work for you. And then I look at my schedule and I'm like, what did I do? How did this happen? And then I have Vinny calling me out because of course he deals with me when I'm like on empty. And he's like, how did you let this happen? So it's about calling yourself out and being able to really face those patterns and those habits of what might be keeping you small to create so much space for expansion. So some of the ideas I'll share as a sneak peek here with you that I'm planning for is to do a lot more trainings, a lot more group and community where we'll have a subject matter that we're going to come together and study for a number of weeks and do that as a group and connect with one another and not just one-on-one, but with other people in this community. And eventually doing a training for the Evolve method because there's a lot that goes into this. There's Kundalini, of course, which will be a huge part of it, but there's a lot more to this lifestyle as well. And I want to create that. I want to build that and I want to share that. And it's something that a lot of people have asked me for. It's something that I'm really interested in doing and sharing, but it requires noticing, having the awareness of the boundaries that you need to have in order to create whatever it is that you wish to create or get to the place where you wish to get to. So I want this podcast in this moment right here in the present moment to be an opportunity for you to just take this time right now while we're here together as I hold space for you to think about something that you are desiring. If you're in that space of desire, maybe you're completely content, which is so beautiful, and you could just sit in the gratitude of that. But if there is something you desire, is if you're trying to find your footing, if you're trying to find your place in whatever aspect of your life it is, I want you to visualize that higher self, that version of you that you're reaching for, that you're trying to create every day with all of the things you do for yourself and for the others around you. So visualize that and feel that and see that. What does he or she look like, feel like? Where are you? And then I want you to visualize a T chart in your mind. So if you don't know, you just draw like a big capital T. And on the left side, the habits and behaviors that are aligning you to that version of you. And just start in your mind. You can or you could even do this in a journal, jotting those things down. Maybe waking up before sunrise, drinking your lemon water, taking baths, taking micro moments throughout the day for a breath, going into nature, a deep meditation, whatever it may be. Just jotting them down, visualizing them. And if you're doing this as a journaling experience and you need to pause here to continue jotting down, you could go ahead and do that. And then when you're ready, coming to the other side of the T chart and jotting down some things that you have continued to do that you're very aware it's not in alignment with your highest truth and your highest path. But we're human, and that's okay too. And it's all about having the awareness and recognizing this and coming back into the flow, back onto that other side of the chart. So just jot down some of those things. For me lately, I'll admit, it's been caffeine. Every time I make my cup of whatever it is that has some caffeine, I'm like, I know I don't need this, but damn, it feels fun to be a rebel. Sleeping in a little too late. I know that I should be waking up at least 4:45 with what I have planned to do for myself and for Evolve. Doesn't always happen. So just jot those things down. And then when you're done, just taking a moment to look at both sides of the chart, seeing which one's heavier than the other, which one's longer than the other. And I want you to circle one thing from the side of the chart of alignment, one thing you're going to incorporate today or tomorrow, immediately, in effect immediately, depending on what time you're listening to this. And that's it. It's all about taking those baby steps back into alignment with yourself. And our practice, our morning practice, helps us to have this awareness to do these exercises and activities. It helps us to call ourselves out and recognize what is serving us, what isn't serving us. Because let me tell you, that ego could be so loud. It can roar and convince you to stay as comfortable as you are, exactly where you are. But we're not here at Evolve for that, obviously. So just circle one thing. And maybe if you want, you can even do an order, starting with putting a number 1 next to the first thing you're going to incorporate. And then once you embody that, it becomes part of your routine, moving on to the number 2 on your list, and then the number 3. Personally, I would start with the most essential first, the most bang for your buck. But it's up to you. It's all about how it could fit into your day and how you can make it work. So having awareness helps us to call ourselves out on our BS. And from there, we're able to come more into alignment at a quicker pace. The quicker we can recognize it, the faster we can get back into alignment. And you can imagine, if you never started this practice, if you never started a meditation practice, if you never, I don't know, whatever it is you're experiencing right now, it's so easy to get on the path of ego. It's so easy to live however many years and all of a sudden find yourself and say, how did I get here? How did I get here? And we are here to make sure that doesn't happen. We're here on this podcast. We're here on Evolve, the app, and the website, the meditations, to have these constant check-ins with ourselves so we never have to say in a concerned disbelief, how did I get here? So we can get to the moments of celebration, of recognition, of feeling so aligned to our souls and feel so grateful for how we got to that space. So don't underestimate the time that you're carving out for yourself. Don't underestimate all of those little practices on that side of the chart that brings you into alignment, because it's in those micro moments and it's in those little choices where we come back into that state of rest, of digest, of clarity, of peace. And in those moments, we receive that divine connection and guidance, helping us see that next step, bringing us closer into alignment with our soul and our purpose. So I hope this was helpful. I know I shared a lot personally, but I find sometimes that's my way of teaching. I'm very much an open book, and I like to share what's going on in my life and sharing it with you, because hopefully you can take that as inspiration and it can help you transform in your own personal life. So thank you for creating such a safe space with me here at the podcast. And I'm just very grateful for this space, for you, for the community, and I thank you for being here. If you have been enjoying the podcast and you've been tuning in, I would love for you to leave a rate and a review if you're guided to. It just helps more people who are on this path that we're on find the show and hopefully align to their highest life path, because that's all of our goals. So thank you so much for being here. May the longtime sun shine upon you, and Sat Nam.